All right, so we're gonna get started. So again, my name is Gary Tost. I'm from a company called Canada SDS, and we're the provider of the system that's being used at Windsor, Essex. This training session is being recorded and will be made available afterwards. So if anyone missed it or you want to rewatch it, that will be available. Alex Ramos is actually monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions along the way, please just put them in the chat. Alex will bring them to my attention and I can answer them. And at the end, we'll also have a question and answer session. So if you have any specific questions, we can definitely answer those at the end. So let's start with accessing the system. The way to actually get to the system is from the Windsor Essex site. You'll see under the staff section, there's a safety data sheets or SDS link. So by clicking on that link, you then get taken to this page that has this click here for the SDS website. We actually did secondary school training a couple of months ago. That's actually available here. And then once this training is completed, it'll also be put in the same location. So by clicking on the link here, you immediately get taken to the SDS search page. Now, if you're accessing this from outside the Windsor Essex network, you will actually not get directly to the search page. You will get to a login page, and you require a login to get in. So if you need access while outside of the Windsor Essex network, then you should speak to Alex Ramos and he can set up a login for you to actually access the system offsite. So with the Canada SDS system, really the goal was to make this very easy to search. So it's very similar to Google. The Google search engine indexes an entire web page and allows you to search anything on a web page. And we've done a very similar concept, but with SDSs. So the entire SDS is indexed and it can be searched. And there's an algorithm we created that will actually bubble up the highest rated answers to the top of the list. So from a search perspective, you can search for things in any number of ways. So as opposed to telling the system, oh, I want to search on a name or a cast number or whatever it may be, you can just type in search just like you would with Google, and it will find it. So for example, if I wanted to search for luminol, I could just put in luminol, hit search, and the system would return the answer. I'm going to actually hit star to search for everything, just to clear it. And if I actually now wanted to search for luminol by cast number, I could go 521-31-3, and you'll see I'll actually get luminol as an answer back. So again, anything you want to search by, you can do directly in the field. In the same way that Google deals with synonyms and different spellings and so forth, our engine does the same. So for example, if I wanted to search for sulfuric acid, and I actually spelt it with the PH spelling, you'll see that it will actually find versions spelt with F as opposed to PH. So it will find both. Sticking with the science theme, and I'll do some different searches for custodial and so forth, but science, for example, trihydrate many times gets written as trihydrate. So if I actually search for, oops, I actually typed that correctly there, sorry, my fingers touched something. So if I did trihydrate and did a search, you'll see that I actually find answers that have trihydrate also. We also find similar words. So for example, if I want to find a floor sealant, type for floor sealant, but sometimes some products may call it a floor sealant, others may call it a sealer. So you'll see here Plaza Plus sealer was found, even though I didn't type sealer, I typed sealant. Same thing with synonyms. So let's say someone types in baking soda. Well, the reality is that some products, commercial products, will have baking soda in it, but any scientific one is actually going to be sodium bicarbonate. But we actually have synonyms associated with that. So if someone searched for a baking soda, you'll see that sodium bicarbonate comes up. And we actually then tell the person that this is a synonym to baking soda. That way, if someone is searching for something and they didn't know they were similar products, they don't look at the list and say, oh, it didn't find what I want. So again, similar to searches you can do in Google. If I don't remember how to spell magnesium, I could just go mag star, and it's going to find products that have MAG in them, etc. I can use quotes if I want to look for a phrase. So let's say I want to find, glass cleaner, which obviously my list isn't very big, but if I wanted then just to have that exact phrase, glass cleaner, I could search, and I'm only going to get products that actually have glass cleaner as a phrase within the SDS. So different searches, again, a lot of these as I was doing was scientific related, but from a custodial perspective, if I wanted to search for Virex, I could just type in Virex and I'll find the Virex products, or something like Oxivir. I could search for that. I'm going to find that. Stride as an example. So I could search for Stride. I'm going to find Stride. If I wanted to find glue, let's say from an art perspective, I could just type glue and I'll get all the different glues. If I wanted, I knew I had a Ross glue, I could search for Ross glue, and it's going to find me all the Ross glues in the system. Similar with something like Lysol, I could just search for Lysol, and I'm going to get the Lysol products back. Again, something like Varsol, I could search for Varsol. So I could search for generic names, I could search for brand names, whatever you want to search for, the entire SDS is indexed. So it will do its best to find what you're looking for. And obviously here we're searching on a computer, but I'm just going to hit star, which kind of returns everything in the system. But if I was, for example, on my phone or on a tablet, so you'll see here as I make the screen smaller, the system starts to adapt itself. So you'll see here we get the little hamburger menu now, as opposed to the menus across the top. And as it gets smaller and smaller towards the screen, you'll see things start to actually wrap and so forth, but they all wrap nicely and neatly so that you can actually find everything that you're looking for. So the system doesn't just have to be on the desktop. You can do it off your phone, you can do it off a tablet, any device really, to access the system and search for SDSs. So some other things that you can do are, for example, you can do or search for tags. So under advanced search, you'll see that we have a number of different tags available. So if I wanted to find everything that had a certain hazard type, let's say, you were getting audited and someone came in and said, what are all the flammable products you have at Windsor Access? We could just select flammable, hit search, and we'll get all the products that are flammable. So 140 different flammable products are currently in the system. You can just remove that tag by simply clicking there. You could search by language. You could search by specific manufacturers. So if you knew that you wanted Armor All or Buckeye or whatever, you could just go directly by manufacturer. And also, there's a number of tags that are specific to Windsor Essex. So custodial, maintenance, science, technology, visual arts, general, and office. So if I wanted to get all the custodial products, I could just pick custodial and hit search, and then I'll get all the custodial products that are in the system. You can also uh, uh, do a sub search. So for example, yeah, let's just do baking soda again. Or a couple of, yeah, so I've got a couple of different ones here, but let's say, and obviously this list is small, so this is not the greatest example, but if I had a really long list and I only wanted the science products that are baking soda, I could then filter that list down, and now I'm only seeing science products that are baking soda. So you see the Arm & Hammer product was removed from the list. With any search, you also have the ability to print the results, but you can also export the results. So if I wanted to export out to an Excel file, it's actually a CSV file, which can be loaded in any spreadsheet application. So I can export that out. You also have the ability to export the PDFs. So if I wanted to grab all the actual PDFs and then print them out, I could just hit export. And what'll happen is you'll get asked for an email address. You put in your email address, and then once it's finished archiving, you'll get an email back and you'll get a downloadable link that you can get a zip with all the PDFs available to you. Okay, so let's just go back to the big list here of products. Let's go into butanol. So here, if I go into butanol, when I click on one, you actually get, first thing you get is a customizable view of the SDS. So you can see all the different sections. You can collapse those sections if you want. You can scroll down and see everything that's available in the SDS. Including the tags and the hazard icons. If you ever want to get to the original SDS in the top right-hand corner, you can just hit SDS PDF, and immediately will come the actual PDF from the manufacturer versus this custom view. You also have the ability to print workplace labels. So this label button here, I can press labels, and I get all the labels available, or I can print labels, I'm sorry, for this product. So I have the ability to pick different templates. Currently, we've got 6 different templates that are available, all with different sizes. They're all Avery label templates, but if there are other templates that you need in the system, just let us know and we can add them. But you have the ability, for example, to now print these out. So I can pick which placements of the label. So maybe I've got a label sheet where only the very last label is available. So I could pick that one to print out only on this particular label of the 6. Or maybe I've got a full sheet and I actually need 3 of them. So I'm going to highlight 3. And when I print out, it's going to print out just these 3 labels on the label sheet. There's some additional things you can do. If you actually wanted to add the manufacturer name to the label, you can do that. You also have the ability to add a QR code. So what this would do is, with any QR code reader from any phone, you can just scan that QR code and the SDS will immediately appear for the user. So it just makes accessing the SDS very simple. Now this works really well. Oh, sorry, one more piece here. Under template, you can actually just pick a blank workplace label if you just wanted some blank ones that you could fill out by hand. At any point in time, you can go into any product, go to labels, pick the blank workplace label template, and be able to print out blank labels on a label template sheet. So as I was saying earlier, to print labels for one product, this method works very well. But let's say you were doing an inventory and you had to print out quite a number of labels in one shot. It may get a little tedious to actually go and click into every single one and put a sheet through to print one label, and then put the sheet through again to print another one label, and put the sheet through again to print another one label. So if you actually have to do a batch printing of labels, you'll notice in the top right-hand corner here, there's a little switch that says Label Batch Mode. What this allows you to do is turn on batch mode, and you'll see immediately in the search results, there's this little label plus button. So I can actually now just pick which products I want to add to this batch of labels I'm going to print. So let's say I need this one, and you'll see as soon as I did at the top here, there's a label batch that appears with a 1. And every time I add one, the number goes up. So I can sit and just add to this batch mode. So it's almost like a shopping cart, if you will, when I'm buying products and adding products. But here I'm just adding different labels to my batch. And it doesn't have to be on the same search. So I could, go back to my baking soda search here, and I want to add this one, and then maybe, floor sealer. So I'm going to add this guy, and you'll see the number just keeps going up. So I can just do any search, and immediately I've got the ability to add. And you'll see if I now go back, anytime any item I added is remembered, and I can now remove it. So let's say I didn't want this guy anymore. I could remove it from my batch, and maybe I want to add this one now and add this one. When I'm ready to print my batch, I can just click on Label Batch Mode, and you'll see here I have all the items I've added, and I can decide, do I still want them, or maybe I want to add some more. So maybe I need 3 of the propanols, and I need 2 sodium bicarbonates, and I need 4 of the clays, etc. I can go in and set the label template. So this goes back to what label template am I using. You can also do things like change the border style. Previously, with the old WMIS rules, it had to be cross-hatched, but with WMIS 2015 now, there is no requirement. So I could choose hidden, for example. And now I get all of the items available here to print. So if I actually now go back here, I can hit print, and I will get a print-ready PDF that I can print directly from the system and just feed the labels through now and print them all out. So if I go print, we'll see here that I'm going to get this document that has all the labels that I can now just feed through the label templates to print out. So again, just a very simple way to collect all the labels together if I need to do a big batch, as opposed to going one by one and continually feeding the labels through. Okay, so along with labels, we also support archiving of different products. So let's just go to WD-40. I'll turn batch mode off. I don't need to do any more batches. So we'll see here that I found the WD-40 aerosol product. Another thing you'll notice is if there are multiple languages, they will appear here. So I can see that the English and French SDS of WD-40 is available. If I go into it, at the top here, you'll see the French, so that I can actually switch between the French and the English version of the SDS by just simply clicking on that button. I can also view previous versions. So let's say I've got a much older version of a product, and potentially if the formulation has changed, you can actually go back and look at older SDSs. So if I go back, you'll see actually in older SDSs, they were just had to be marked as flammable. But now in the newer SDSs, there's actually more hazard symbols under WMIS 2015 for WD-40. So you can easily go back and view previous versions of SDSs at any point in time. Okay. Um, so another thing that is starting to happen in the industry is that more and more, or with WMIS 2015 regulations, products that are non-WMIS regulated are actually not required to put out an SDS any longer. So we're starting to see now that there are products that manufacturers just don't put out an SDS for. So what we're actually doing is we're tracking those, and you'll actually get a message. So let's say I search for dextrose. So you'll see here that I do get certain results, but things such as potato dextrose powder, saborodextrose agar are non-WMIS regulated. So these are actual products that the manufacturers have told us now that they're no longer providing SDSs for. So in a lot of systems, you may search for stuff like that, and you're just going to get no search results if you actually didn't have an SDS in. But here you'll see that if a product doesn't have an SDS, it may be that it isn't that it isn't in the system. It's just the fact that it's no longer requires an SDS. So we'll just have a note up here to help point to that, to let you know that this product just is not WMIS regulated, and they are not required to provide an SDS for it. Okay. So that really covers the majority of what we wanted to go through here with the system. So again, to kind of recap, the key things are that it is very much a Google-like search. So within the search field, you can use any kind of short forms such as star or quotes to find a phrase. And you can search on anything at all. It could be UN numbers, CAS numbers, names, ingredients, whatever it may be, you can put in the search, and the list will come out, and our algorithm will bump up to the top the highest ranked items based on your search criteria. You also have the ability for the advanced search to try to find things within specific categories quite easily. And then the other key really is the printing of the labels. So being able to go into a product, you can just get to the labels button and be able to quickly print out labels for specific products, or you can use the batch mode by turning on batch and be able to now get that batch capability and add items. And I could clear this at any point in time if I wanted to start a new batch of products. So those really are the key pieces to the system. So we'll open up the floor now if there are any questions. Okay, so one question is, who is responsible to print the labels?
The person.
So the only time you're required to put a workplace label is if the product itself doesn't have a label, or if you were to move the product to another container and the container obviously doesn't have the original label, then you need to print a workplace label. And the person who's responsible is the person who needs it. So if it is your science room or your custodial closet, and you see a product that the manufacturer's original label has been ripped off or worn off, or product was decanted into another container, then you're actually responsible for printing that label and putting it onto the item. Okay, so Alex is just checking the chat now to see if there's any other questions about the system. So as I did mention earlier, this is being recorded and will be made available. So again, just from the main website under staff, safety data sheets, is the location to actually get to the website, and then all the training related materials will be available here also. So you can rewatch this video, or if some of your staff were not able to attend, you can have them watch the video also. Again, the system really was designed to be as user-friendly as possible. So kind of the Google search approach. So it should be pretty easy to search and find things and print labels, which really are the two core pieces of functionality required from a WMIS 2015 perspective. So Alex, do we have any more questions? That's it?
Let's wait for a couple of minutes.
Okay, so we'll wait just for another minute, see if anyone has another question, if they're just typing it out. Oh, there is actually, actually no, sorry. Okay, so it looks like we're not having any other questions. So again, thank you very much for your time and watching this. Oh, yeah. So if you do have any questions that come up, or when you're using the system that are coming up, or if you're not able to find a product and need an SDS added, then just contact Alex Ramos and he will be able to answer your questions or get us a request to get something in the system or so forth. So again, thank you very much for your time. And this recording will be available at the location mentioned earlier if anyone wants to rewatch it. Thank you.